Sewspire.com, and today I am here to show you how to sew this fabulous messenger bag. There's a couple of things that I really love about this new design. The first is the flap closure is secured with a tie and grommet style, which is brand new for me. I just discovered the grommets last week when I was designing a custom knitting bag, so you can expect to see more of those. They're not nearly as difficult as I had assumed they would be to install, so I'm looking forward to showing you how to do that. The second thing I love about this bag is the ability to use something like wool or wax canvas, corduroy, perhaps even faux leather or leather if you have it, to create an accent with this flap. Then I am a fan of the crossbody adjustable messenger straps and this new 1.5 inch webbing, which they are currently selling at the Joann's. It does come in a fabulous stripe, and I wanted to buy the stripe first, but I thought it would clash with this fabric that I wanted to use, so I had to opt for the gray this time, but you'll see the stripes soon. Then on the inside, this is a great size bag. It's not too big and it's not too small. On the inside, I've incorporated a 3-way divided pocket. It's got a nice deep base there measuring 6 inches, and then height wise we're coming in at 10.5 inches finished. Across the base there we've got an 8.5 inch base, 6 inch depth, 10.5 inches tall, making this a great everyday bag. So shall we get started? For this project we're going to begin with 2 exterior panels which measure 15 by 15 inches, and those are backed with Pellon 809. And you want to take those and fold them in half, and then towards that bottom right hand corner you're going to notch out a 3-inch square. Just like that. And I want to take a piece of fabric that measures 22 inches long by 2 inches wide. I'm going to press down the short ends, fold those inward 1/2 inch on both ends to finish those, and then using the Sewspire strap method, fold that in half, press, open that up, bring those raw edges in to meet on the center press line, and then fold that over and press again. You're going to stitch down the open end to fashion the tie closure. And then you want to fold that strap in half and mark center. And then using a ruler, you're going to measure up from the base of this exterior panel at center 6 inches. And you're going to position that tie right at the 6-inch mark, and it is still folded in half. So go ahead and open that up so that you can pin it in place there, and hold your finger at center and then put a pin there so you know. And what you're going to do is attach that strap right at center, going forwards and then reverse a couple of times to secure that. Well, the tie is now attached right in the center of the panel, 6 inches up from the base. And I just want to fold that up and pin it so that there's no chance of it getting caught in any of my exterior seams. I'm going to take the remaining exterior panel and position that right sides facing, lining up those squares that we cut out at the base. Use pins or clips to hold everything in place. And now I'm going to stitch down the left and the right hand sides, and then just across the base, but I'm not stitching on the inside of those corners. And for this, I'm going to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to reach inside of there and align the side seam with the base seam. And because we notched out those corners, you should be able to see everything nice and clear. Then I'm going to stitch from end to end to create that depth, and repeat that same process for the other side. And now the exterior is complete. I'm going to turn that around right side out. And then I want to take that top edge and fold it inward an inch. And then you can press everything at the iron and get that nice and flat and crisp. You can see using this notched corner technique that those seams align perfectly. So the exterior is a nice like bucket shape. I described this because we got the 6-inch depth. It's a great bucket size. So I'm going to set that aside. For the interior, we're working with 2 more 15 by 15 inch squares, and you want to do the same thing. Notch out those corners 3 inches, fold it in half, and just working with one of these interior panels, I want to create a 3-way divided slip pocket. So this is using a piece of cotton fabric that's 8 inches tall by 15 inches wide, and then I selected a beautiful gray wool for the pocket lining, also 8 by 15, and then I pressed over the long edges of both pieces of the pocket, and I'm just going to stagger that exterior fabric slightly so that wool accent peeps up over the top of that pocket, and I'm going to stitch all the way down to secure that top edge. Okay, made that all the way across. You could add a second row of stitching if you like for detail. Then I want to position that pocket 5 inches up from the base. Pin that in place, and I'm going to stitch all the way across the base of that pocket to secure it, and then I'm going to divide it with 2 rows of stitching to create a 3-way divided pocket. Okay, now the pockets have been attached and divided to the interior. I want to bring back that second interior body panel and position that right sides facing on top. Put a couple of pins in that to hold it, or use your clips if you like those better. And then using the same technique, I'm going to stitch down the right hand side, the left hand side, across the base, and then line up the base seam with the side seam to create that depth. Now the interior is complete. I'm going to take that top edge and fold it over 1 inch and then press everything nice and flat at the iron. The interior looks great. You can see the pockets in there, and this Pellon offers this interior and the exterior a lot of stability. Combine the 2 layers will allow the bag to stand alone. So I'm going to bring back over the exterior, and I want to fit the interior inside of there so the pockets are towards the back. The front of the bag has the tie closure on it. Aligning those side seams first, I'm going to start pinning that lining in place. Interior and exterior are complete. It has a lot of body. I'm going to set this aside. We're going to craft the flap and then the strap. Flap is crafted from 2 pieces of material which are 11 inches wide by 15 inches tall. To add a bit of texture and interest to this bag, I am incorporating some gray wool. So the exterior of my flap will be crafted from the gray wool. So the interior is crafted from the same map fabric, which is a quilt weight cotton, and that is backed with Pellon 809. So I'm going to position that gray wool, which to me doesn't really have a right or a wrong side, on top of that and stitch on the right hand side, the left hand side, and across that base. Now I want to clip these corners at an angle, so when I turn this right side, it minimizes that bulk in the corners. I'm going to turn this around and then head on over to the iron and press it nice and flat. Now I have this stunning exterior. For this wool, I do not want to see any stitch lines on this. I want this to just be perfectly, just lay perfectly flat and stand on its own. So I'm not going to top stitch this flap. If you were using a cotton or you were going to use this reverse side, I would definitely top stitch. I think in that case the top stitching would add the finishing touch, but I really love the look of this wool unstitched. Now the next thing I want to do is mark center on this panel because I need to install a grommet approximately 1 inch up from center. I got my grommets from Hobby Lobby and they're the Sewology brand. They're $2.99. A lot of times this brand will go on sale for half off. Now initially I had to buy the bigger kit that came with the installation tool, so that kit with the tool was $10.99. So you only have to buy that once and then hang on to the anvil which you install the grommets with. So the grommets have 2 pieces, one with the barrel and then one with the eyelets on them, which are sharp like little teeth. So you want to take the barrel side of that and position it on your fabric and then mark the interior of that so that you can see where to cut the fabric. Then you take a seam ripper and get that first cut in there for the distance of the inside of that barrel, and then use tiny snips to clip that so that it has 4 corners. And that's what it looks like on the back side. Then I like to work with a wooden cutting board and a small hammer that has a round end and then a flat end. And so you take the base of your anvil, which has grooves, and you position the barrel part of that grommet so it sits nice and flat on that surface, and then you take the eyelet portion and position that right on top so that caps that. And then you take the longer part of the anvil and that fits inside of there, and then you just start hammering this in. It does take quite a few hammers to get that in place. And what I do, and the reason I like to have that rounded edge, is after I get that in place, then I come back and finish that off with the rounded edge so that I know that that grommet is nice and secure on there, which this one is. So I'm going to bring back over my bag here, and along the back edge there I want to insert this flap in between the exterior and the interior layers. I am using some Dritz 1.5 inch belting strapping. End to end, my strap now measures 58 inches long, and so I'm going to use a 1.5 inch tri-glide, that webbing through, and then wrap that around that center bar and fold that end of that strapping over and then over one more time and run 2 rows of stitching to secure that to the center of that slide. And then I want to take a second tri-glide and position that through the top ring. And then I'm going to go ahead and take that end and feed it through the top of the tri-glide, which I attach the strap to, and then back under that tri-glide. So this portion allows the strap to slide, and then this portion is going to allow me to take another smaller piece of that webbing and bring that through and attach that so that this can fit into the bag. So that piece of webbing just needs to be about 6 inches. And you're just going to loop that over through there and then go ahead and stitch across the bottom so you don't have to worry about that separating. And you just have to insert those ends on the sides of the bag in between the interior and the exterior layers. And then the last thing to do is put this on the machine deck, and starting with the strap, stitch all the way around to secure the flap, the interior, the exterior, and the strap. Now I've made it all the way around. I'm just going to come back in and put a second row of stitching under each strap to help offer that some more stability. Okay, so the bag is done. I totally love it. Like, I made this bag yesterday, and I'll show you a picture of that, using a really sweet bicycle fabric, and I gifted that to my daughter for her 17th birthday, hence the name of this bag, the May. My affectionate nickname for Megan, is her real name, is May May, I call her. And I'm the only one that calls her that. So because I designed the bag for her and gave it to her for her birthday, this is officially called the May, and I also told her that I was going to name the bag after her. So she thought that was a pretty cool birthday gift. But the only thing I want to show you here are a couple of options that you have with the tie closure. So you can thread that through the grommet, of course, fashion that into a bow, like so. Or you can just tie one quick knot, just like that. Or if you're not going to be going into the bag for a little while there, you can double up that strap like that, and then that is great if you're, you know, say tootling around the city or something, or you're going to set your bag down and you want to make sure that it wouldn't be very easy for someone to get inside, because it would be kind of obvious to you if someone was untying your strap. So those are the three options that I have for the closure there. And then you have a lot of ability to customize the length of the strap on this design, as well as those interior pockets. If you wanted to, you could easily add an exterior pocket to this design as well, and another row of pockets on the inside. So you could really add a lot of functionality. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe, because it helps the videos and the channel rank higher in the search. And then we can of course share with more people, and that's always a nice thing. And thank you for watching, and as always, the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Hope you all have a beautiful week.